Boom. And we are live.
Wow.
Let's see. Hang on. Let me make sure. Let me just. Here we go. Okay, hang on. Yeah, we have a new setup because we're on our platform.
Okay.
It's good to see you, Soul. What's happening? What's going on?
Good. Oh. What's not going on is more like it. Yeah.
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 I mean, it's been what? God, it's probably been a year.
Yeah.
I did push record. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where do you want to start? 2023? Do you feel like that, the 10-year Mayan calendar thing ended the 21st of December, 2022. And I can't really even speak to the days after that, the last days of 2022, but I do remember waking up on 2023 thinking we're in an entirely different place. We are literally walking the new earth.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that this is like a new beginning of I'm just tuning in here. The essence of our soul is coming through very strongly.
Yeah.
And how we relate to life has changed. Life itself is continually a new beginning. It's a constant entering into source consciousness. And it can take us by surprise sometimes. Well, depending on the individual. For me, it's a constant reminder or moving into this. So I have a new body,
Right.
Which is really important to talk about in terms of my reality. And it started in August 2020, where I went through like an initiation overnight, but it was very physical. And it was painful for a week. I didn't know what it was. I could feel that I was birthing a new body, and I was being told that it was a new body that was coming through. But this year, jumping ahead, has been this feeling of that I have disappeared. I'm no longer in the body as I knew it. And my light has changed. It's much more internal, and it's coming through each day. Well, it's coming through each moment. But each day I go out into the world and I walk amongst lots and lots of people. And I find that it's the only way for me to get balance in terms of being able to relate to the world. So people are I can see that they're drawn to me, to the light that's transmitting from me. But I have to say it's not been easy, and it's not easy for me personally. The only person that I find I get any connection with is Lisa Transcendence Brown. She's got advice on her website, and I watch her videos. Otherwise, there really isn't anything that I can get as a mirror coming back at me. It's it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, I think what you're
really.
referring to with Lisa Transcendence Brown is important. I know her. You know, we've done four
Yeah,
hour shows together. I lived in Kauai for a bit and spent some time with her.
yeah,
She definitely, and in fact, when I was there in 2019, early 2019, she had just finished, which I think is the last book she put out. And
yeah,
to me, she really pulled in what happens to the body. She pulled in a lot of things, but what
yeah,
happens to the body, knowing that this is not linear, which I think is why that part of what she brought in is important now, because many people are going through it in obviously many ways, but the body is coming online in a bigger and bigger way every single day. I mean, it literally is the spirit flesh.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, yeah. It's it's really indescribable, to be quite honest, because it's so intense in the bones.
Yeah.
I have a completely new frame. My body is very slight, very small now, whereas before I was really in my goddess energy, you know, with the fullness of life. And this is quite different. I'm finding it. I'm having to learn to walk again, literally, in the new frame that I have. And also, it's there's a feeling of the flow coming through the bones, which is yeah, it can be very painful at times. I'm
Yeah.
finding the
And
root
so
chakra,
what's that?
the root,
Yeah.
my root has been going through a lot over the past year, I would say. And it has been very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, my teeth. Yeah, go on.
Well, no, I was just going to refer to that root area. I mean,
Mm,
I think we all knew that's where the root of our deepest implants would be, right? I mean, we put that together, but I think it was about a month ago. Morgan and I have been doing these sessions, and we were guided to put them out. And in one of those sessions about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and this was a very masculine kind of thing. Like I was
yeah,
tapping into the evolution of the masculine, or whatever you call that, the coding or whatever. I was starting to feel in these sessions, and it felt very masculine, like it was coming from the root up through my spine, the spinal fluid, And then at one point, the tailbone like shattered open, like the tail,
Yeah.
like particularly the reptilian tail. Not that it was a bad thing. I'm just saying that location and this force, this energy, this column of light just started streaming up through it. And then this past Friday, which was what, whatever that was, 12th. I had Friday through Sunday night, the biggest experience I've ever had, I would say 2 or 3 days consecutively. And all this intel came in. And when I got up on Saturday morning, the first thing I saw was a Rick Jewers post, and he was talking about how the tailbone, the bottom of the backbone had disintegrated, had
Yeah.
something to do with reptilian. Then I saw some other people talking about it, and then a lot of talk in these last few weeks about the root chakra, both in the in the genitals, in the front, in the back, in the spine.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
there's something to that, that's really, they talk about this flap in the back. That's
Yeah.
the God source or creation source or something like that. I'd never heard anything about the tailbone until I got that intel, and then to see other
Right.
people talking about it. But to me, it speaks to like a full channel, like a full connection to both what's beneath us and above us, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm being shown also that the feminine and the feminine I'm trying to find words for this. The source of energy that comes through in the roots and also in our makeup as women. So the vagina, the genitals, it's expanding. Not just me, but it feels like it's something that women are experiencing. There's a feeling of expansion. I don't know, I can't think of another word for it. It's like the breath and this breath of life that we breathe is coming through that area, and we're literally birthing through our base into a new paradigm of life.
Yeah.
And we're birthing all the children. In other words, it's not just the mother that's birthing the child, but we're all involved in the birthing of the new children that's coming through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I've been writing about the children for quite a while, and I have what is potentially a book about the children. And I'm finding that I'm not writing at the moment, but when I'm out, I have a very strong connection with the children when I'm out walking. There's really tiny, and newborn babies are being shown to me. And there's a feeling of, I wouldn't call it mother, but I would call it a very deep awareness of the process of birthing and the children that are being produced from that process, who are star children, I would call them.
Are you communicating with them?
Am I communicating with them?
Are you communicating with these children, these newborns, these young children?
I would say on some level, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because they're coming to me rather than, it's not. It's a part of the universe showing me that there is, there's a connection there. And it could be connected with the book as well, of course, because that's what happens when I'm writing. I get shown things. But it's...
So what do you see in these children? What do you see that they're bringing to the table? Because to me, it looks like they're definitely here, and I don't see how their impact couldn't affect us almost immediately at this point. Maybe it is, but I mean, they're teaching us, so to speak.
Yeah, they are, definitely. Yeah. I watched a mother. I'm getting on a bus. The bus is full of, it's very multicultural. People from what I call tribal communities, Africa and India, and people who have got origins that are, I feel, ancient origins coming through them. So I'm on a bus, and there's a, as soon as I get on the bus, there's this mother with a newborn child, and she's got her breast hanging out, to feed the child. And I thought, wow, that's really beautiful, to see that, because she was having an impact on the whole atmosphere. And then she stood up, and she was rocking the baby. This is at the front of the bus. And her energy was so peaceful, and she looked so balanced in terms of, she was completely involved in what she was doing, nothing else. And I felt a very deep respect for her and her ability to be so balanced with this newborn. And she had another child with her that was a few years older. But the impact I feel of the children and their energy is bringing what I would call a deep sense of grace into the atmosphere. There's like a prayer where their innocence and their joy is being felt by everyone. And sometimes I have been seeing the star child more in the children in terms of the light coming through. It's very powerful. It's beautiful, really beautiful. So everything in terms of what I would call illusion is shifting. And then you have the children and the light coming through, and the mothers as well. I mean, some of the women are African women who look like they've just stepped out of the tribe, and they've got the children kind of fastened to them. And it's very beautiful to watch.
Where was this? Are you in England? Where are you at?
I'm in Edinburgh. But I'm not in Edinburgh. If you get why I'm saying that. I'm living in Edinburgh, but I'm not really in Edinburgh. I'm on another plane of existence. And so I experience lots of Islamic women, for example, and yeah, lots of different cultures that come from that root, the Islamic root, and I'm seeing them with their children as well. Mm. So I mean, I very much live in these tribal energies. I have done for a long time.
Do you pick up on collective energy?
On what was that?
Like, do you pick up on collective energy, like
Yeah.
overall? Like, I know, for instance, there's been a lot of changes, and I mean, I don't know where to, you know, like you're in England. I mean, there's been the whole COVID thing and the way they came out about it, and then the way they pulled it all back. And, you know, I think through 20 and 21 and 22, there was some protests in the streets. And I mean, you just had this coronation. I mean, there's a lot of energy being reflected
Yeah.
there that's actually happening everywhere. But are you like most of us and you pretty much stay to yourself? Or do you get out there and see what's
No, yeah, I don't experience that type of energy
Mhm.
when I go out.
So your
Um,
world and your experience, which I think is probably what's happening to all of us, is very much contained in your you know, in your sphere. You're not really going out, you know, looking at the surface of the earth. You might go out and tap into,
no,
you know, an energy or something.
yeah, I don't experience any challenging energy,
Mm, okay.
really. Um, yeah, I'm in a flow. I'm living in a flow of light. So when I'm out walking, I'm actually living in a light field.
Okay.
It's a field of light, and it bypasses anything that is, you know, distorted or
Or anything distorted bypasses it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Now,
true.
um, describe to me what this is. You're saying it's a field of light
Yeah.
near where you live or where you live,
No, it's coming through me.
coming through you. Okay.
Yeah,
And can you see its presence before you? You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah. I can now. My eyes are full of light when I'm walking. Um, particularly, I notice it when I'm walking and I'm going out because my energy is moving through me.
Right.
Um, now you could say it's the energy of the new earth that I'm experiencing. Um, I would say yes,
One and the
because
same. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a feeling of. I mean, I experience paradise at times, a
Mm,
real feeling of paradise. Um, and I see lots of prayer in terms of the way that it emanates from the people that I was talking about. For example, Islam and men out there that I call holy men who are in a state of prayer, and I would say that they're probably Islamic as well. This area that I'm living in at the moment is it's amazing actually. I
I
didn't
mean,
want to
are
come.
you seeing their light emanate from them? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And also there's a feeling of how they're lifted. That energy is lifted rather than being earthed.
Okay.
And I feel it's because they live in a state of prayer. So it's really beautiful to watch. I'm very interested in clothes, what people wear. And these guys are wearing like long robes, and they're from another time, I would say. You know, they've got their full kind of dress on, as if they've just come out the temple, but they're in the middle of the street, you know, with everyone else, you know. So I read these energies when I'm out, and
Do you think
also
do you think everybody else sees them?
no,
I
no,
didn't think so.
no,
I
I
didn't think
don't
so.
think so. No, no, I'm very much living in my own energy field, very strongly now. I mean, I've been like that for a long time, but the universe is coming in to meet me also.
Yeah.
So I get guided in a very strong way nowadays. And I get lots of gifts from there, beautiful gifts coming in, which can just happen in the moment.
And can you share like some examples of these gifts?
Well, for example, I might be just walking along this really busy central Edinburgh street, lots of shoppers and lots of different energies, but I'm not experiencing the energies in the way that you would describe it, as a mix of energies. I'm only experiencing the light and the flow. And then someone might pop out of a crowd and just come up to me and speak to me. And it's usually about an issue. I would say it's part of the expansion. So it might be about the children, for example, and they're asking me. It's not so much that they're asking for advice, but I feel that's what's been asked for in terms of my view of it, because they're coming in from a lower vibration.
Mm.
You know, they might be talking money, or and I have lots of people that ask me for money. I don't live in money, so that's interesting. But they'll be talking about their concern about the children, for example. And then I find myself in a conversation which is about, but it's not about the money. You know, it's more about the fullness and the wholeness of life that comes through. And these children that they're talking about being accepted by humanity for who they are, rather than it being separated and, oh, we need to get money for these children, you know. It's more a feeling of, this feeling of heaven on earth, Todd, you know, this feeling of where everything is complete and whole.
Right, right, right. Somebody said the other day, we're safe now. So I hear this. I hear this about the.
That's funny.
You're funny. I hear this about the
We're
children.
safe now.
I mean, I hear this about the children, and I hear that, you know, protect the children. Not just from you, but other people, and it makes sense, right? But at the same time, part of what we're coming into is our multidimensional memory. They've got theirs, which
Yeah,
means they've got no way of being affected by the old world. So
yeah,
any vibration from that finite paradigm that's breaking down is, even if it was in full force, wouldn't have an effect on them. They're that lit, and we're becoming that way. Just like you're talking about your body's changing, my body's changing. What does that really mean? It means that our frequency is increasing. Our
Yeah.
density is lightening up, and when you get down to it, that means more connectivity. I mean, I don't know. It's such a mixed bag, but when you start saying too, like heaven on earth, well, it's true. It's hell and heaven being zero pointed in the physical, in the flesh. And I mean, I don't even know what to think after this past 2.5 months. March, April, and halfway through May, we had
Right.
5 or 6 corridors. We had all these power days. We had eclipses.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got planetary stuff going on. I think retrograde ended on the 11th, and from the 11th, there's just been this, it's been 5, 6 days, 7 days, and it's just been one thing after another. And there's just constant scaling up, no matter what else happens. Like if you have a trigger or whatever happens, or, whatever the hell goes on, but you have these constant step ups. And there, to me, there felt like a really big one this past weekend, which was shame is gone. Shame is gone, meaning that from an energetic basis, it's not holding us back anymore. We have the capacity to move out of it, and therefore start really becoming that much more aware and that much better of a creator, a conscious creator. But
Yeah, definitely. And I'm walking through it. I can't emphasize that enough. So whatever is going on, particularly with the masculine, because I do experience some very heavy male energy around me at times. And I'm literally walking through it. And I see them looking at me, not knowing why, because they're obviously sensing the light that's coming from me.
Right.
And it's a very pliable energy. It's extremely loving and very soft. So it's beyond forgiveness. There's a level of awareness that seems to be around me. And I know that it's having an effect on the male when I come up against these were very challenging energies for me at one time. Now I'm walking through it, and I see them looking at me, but they don't know why they're looking at me.
Are these men you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just talking about men in general. When I go out,
Right.
for example, if I go to the supermarket, there's some very heavy guys in there that are on security, and they're getting heavier actually. And I just bless them. I bless them when I go in there, and I see them looking at me, and what would have been something that was intimidating, it's not anymore.
Right. Well,
it's showing itself, I feel, rather than it being something that is, it's a different reality. Yeah.
It's like it's shrinking and we're getting bigger. I got that this weekend too. I told the story, I won't go into it again, but going to the ATM, get $100, find out, a couple minutes later, whatever, I got a receipt for 100 and there's only $80 cash. And that occurred because I was told in that moment that the matrix is being seen for what it is, the patriarchal matrix, whatever you want to call it, that what we're putting in, we're not getting back. That's what it really boils down to. Like at a mathematic level, right? And we're simply seeing things, and everything's coming off. And then at the same time, we're getting bigger. We're becoming more aware, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, like, specific to the masculine energy,
Mm.
what are you, through what you're seeing, what do you think is happening? Do you feel like the masculine energy has anchored? Do you feel like it's, showing itself in a way that it never has before? You mentioned the word soft. I think that's a, like many of the words are taking on different meanings now. We're finding out the power of softness, right? What are your reflections on the masculine energy that's in all of us?
Good question. Wow. Um, hmm. My experience of the male or the masculine in terms of the collective over a long period, my path has been about recognizing the wholeness in the male, that there is this very powerful energy which they're not in control of. In the beginning, that's what I experienced, that the male was needing assistance. And I was in a very painful situation where I was attacked when I was in Spain. That was a long time ago. But that experience that I had, it was a guy with a big knife. And I felt that he was going to kill me, and it was dark. And he wanted my bag. And he was a Spanish gypsy. And he took everything from me in terms of, my bag, and he had this, this knife. And I found that I had a very deep compassion for him afterwards, after I got through the physical fear that I was feeling. But it was a beginning for me. And this was in the 1970s. So it was a beginning for me about learning about myself. And it has stayed with me. It's been a journey for me about recognizing that there's no ego as such. We talk about the male ego being very strong, yeah. What I see is that the male and his recognition of himself is deeply sensitive. I've had men come to me for a long period of time as a healer, and they weep. They just want to sit beside me and they'll weep. And sometimes they lie down, they put their head on my lap, and they just cry without any words. And I haven't been able to really express that myself, because it's been a constant flow of energy. In other words, I didn't know what this was, but it was happening. So nowadays, with this new earth, what I'm seeing is there's a very strong presence with the male, where they're very much in their masculine. And they are also extremely sensitive. I feel fear, actually, that they're afraid. They're afraid of their power, their presence, that they're, and I'm not saying that there's a weakness there. I
No,
feel
I
it's a
totally get
strength.
I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I
Yeah,
really
it's a
do.
strength that they.
I really do.
So
I think, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'm seeing the physical presence, and there's a feeling of intimidation or power or whatever you want to call it that comes from them. Their warrior energy.
Yeah.
But if I was to speak to them, they would probably start crying because they're deeply sensitive.
Well, I think that's what's coming out, though, is I think through the last few years, like maybe even going back to the Me Too movement, the female incarnation, the feminine energy in physical form, that story became known. The energy of her suppression and the power taken or whatever and all that stuff. And then we've had this, evolution of the masculine energy the last 3-4 years. And it's gone through its own rhythms. And it's like he's bared his soul or
Yeah,
to
yeah,
her, like when the men come to you, right? That's just a small example. But now he's having to bear it like with the father and the brother. And what I mean by that is it's one thing for men to open up to a woman. It's another thing for men to open up to other men, because there's a
yeah,
lot of things that we have hidden behind secrets that we don't want anyone to know because it was never accepted in the society or whatever you want to call it, right? It's like how we killed each other, how the father,
yeah,
violated the son's wife, how the son violated the father. I mean, this is like to me, the patriarch is not about masculine or feminine. It's a name we give to this counter program in the realm. But because it has obviously the connotation of paternal, then naturally, symbolically in the flesh, the masculine or the male body carried it. And that's why I think the male operated in the lower chakras and the feminine had the intuition and had that connection. So now we've come to the final step, and the final step is that. The final step is the masculine not being intimidated by his presence and finding that warrior in him that got distorted and using it in this new way, which is kind of like walk softly but carry a big fucking stick. You know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah,
I like your reflections, though. I like the way you paint the picture, and I think that speaks to the way that we'll communicate. We'll take on more, like, I don't know how to say it, but like say like third eye language, where we're through our voice and through our our resonance and illumination, we'll actually experience what's being told to us in a multi-dimensional way, in a multi-sensory way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it is multidimensional. That's my experience of these energies that I'm talking about. It is very multi-D. Where there's a feeling of this flexibility that I talk about. It's pliable. Yeah. I mean, for the guy that doesn't know what I'm talking about, or doesn't understand, or doesn't want to connect in that way, he'll find it in another way.
Yeah, of course, we all will. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that more people are talking about it in a substantial way, in a way that isn't just paying it lip service and saying, let's, talk about men and today. No, I'm talking about a masculine energy that's not only been taken down to the bones and come back, just like the rest of just like the feminine in me, just like the golden child in me, like gone down to nothing and coming back out now here at what seems to be the final stretch.
Yeah.
Like if the mother's whole and the child is whole, and through the distortion, the one that creates, it would make the one that creates, being the masculine energy, builds things, design, you know what I mean? It would only make sense to me that at the end, that would be the final step, would be as we create these new, these things that you referred to, that you and your sisters are birthing all over the planet, basically, the children, because the children are much more than just a baby in human form. These are etheric creations that are more real than we are sitting right here, right now, that carry properties that we're also going to be coming into very soon. I mean, hell, there might not be a plane being used in another 3 or 4 or 5 months or 6 months or 8 months. I mean, this is colossal change that's occurring.
That doesn't surprise me.
Mm.
I was actually quite shocked during the pandemic that people were still flying, because there's so much energy being used, and there's a feeling of needing to be on the ground. So if you're going to go anywhere, you take the route through the earth rather than it being above. So much money as well being used for, to move around. We have our own flight.
Right.
As long as we fly externally, we won't find our own flight, because we are actually flying anyway, if you want to accept that, because we're not physical.
Mm-mm.
We're becoming more and more formless.
Yeah.
As well, or more accepting of our formless. The realization that we are formless, we're light, and that we have a great deal of multidimensional energy that we can use. So our gifts are coming through for us to use.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even, I would wonder if you asked however many people are on the planet, because I think that's questionable at this point. Do you feel like something's happening? Like on a collective level? I would bet you, I would think anyway, my opinion would be like 95%. I mean, what's happening is coming in bigger and bigger and louder at so many different ways. I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
people, not a lot, I don't want to exaggerate, but I've heard a couple of people come on the show and talk about people that they considered weren't awake that are starting to ask questions and are starting to, like, you know, open up to that. That something's going on. So to me, it's such a time in, you could say, history or whatever, where no hidden history, no hidden agendas, no nothing is bigger than it. It's literally total exposure of everything. And we seem to be at the center of it all. We seem to be leading the way, even though we were unconscious and all that stuff. We seem to be at the center of it, because like you said, we're not these bodies, but yet we all have this experience in common. You might call it a simulation or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and it's very much our own reality that is changing, I feel, in terms of what was the illusion. There's a feeling of lightness there, where we don't have to go beyond matter, which is really what was happening. In terms of being able to see, is that we would be seeing beyond matter.
Well, that's
But as
interesting.
far, yeah.
So what you're
As
saying
far,
is, oh, go ahead. There's a lag. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to
no,
interrupt you.
go on.
Well, I think that's really intriguing what you're saying. So we put ourselves in this place where we could not go beyond matter, at least from our perception.
Yeah,
And at the same time, now we're at the end. And we're actually taking matter beyond matter. We're bringing in the non-matter, or the non-physical. We're actually bringing it in to this physical field. We're transforming the field or something. Because just like those men that you saw,
yeah.
the men in the robes, and just like I was going to ask you about elementals too, but yeah, I can see where it's the same thing coming in the door and going out the door, which is cool.
Yeah, and I feel that I wouldn't say that people aren't awakened. I believe that everyone is awakened.
Yeah.
I feel that it's a term, it's a way of describing
Yeah.
being awake. As what is that? Because we're all awake at some level. And I feel that it's about us coming together through our awareness of our gifts, our magic, that we can share more and more expansion together.
Yeah.
And as if this field of light is huge, there shouldn't be, nothing matters. Going back to matter.
I'm sorry, it just came through. You said matter. Oh, okay. Have you recent, like in the last few weeks or days, have you had any type of consciousness or family or whatever, like in particular, like Pleiadian or elemental or dolphin? Have you had
Dolphin,
any of that? Dolphin? Okay.
Definitely. I have a close link with the dolphins.
Okay.
And the whales, a very aquatic energy that I'm connected with. People say to me, "Where are you from?" And I always say I'm off the planet because I don't know how to describe it. This connection with the stars and the star family, a very strong connection with star family. I have a very strong connection with Hollywood, for example, and what they call stars. It's an awareness that I have. So I'll have like a Hollywood star coming in and talking to me. You know, I get that quite a lot.
Are you
But
talking
that's
are you talking about those that are embodied or those that have transitioned?
both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
trippy. That's cool. You ever document this stuff? See, I think this is the kind of stuff people need to share too. It's like the stuff that is our personal intel or a personal journey, because there's code in that. There's things that will, help others remember. I mean, I guess that's what we're all doing, to your point earlier. Is we are, I feel like, and also to your point about everybody's awake, I agree with you. And what we're all describing as we start to open up about it, and as we have over these last few years, it's really us witnessing it, experiencing it, and coming into alignment with it. I mean, it's inevitable. It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bridge of light that I see that is connected with celebrity, you might call it. It's, celebrity. But I've been looking at it for a long time. So it will be celebrities that have passed, that have moved out of the body. But as we go through this change in our consciousness, we're all becoming celebrities in our own way. Celebrity is not the word I want to use. I don't know what to call it, but there's a feeling of presence.
Yeah.
And also how unique we all are.
Yeah.
Our gifts coming through. That is our nourishment. It's a very internal nourishment, I feel. It's food for the soul. So there's a very strong connection there with what was status, a celebrity status. I don't see that existing anymore. But it's connected with us. It's feeding us energy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be any anyone in particular. It's like a layer of energy where it's all one.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Made
Yeah.
and like for us, it's because I've always felt this way, that ultimately everybody knows each other. Everybody
Yeah.
knows exactly who they are, who can see that person's right down to their soul signature. And that uniqueness is what is one of the I guess like the the beautiful things about oneness, because again, you're both nothing and everything, and you're both this soul signature, yet all the same souls, kind of thing. People being comfortable with themselves, people being themselves, souls being themselves, souls being themselves in a human form. I mean, however you want to put this. I mean, people are, that's another thing you can look at as far as evidence goes, is how people over these last few years have followed a crazy path by standard, perspective. Yet they're finding more and more peace, more power. They're, you know what I mean? We're becoming more expanded very rapidly. Our openness is increasing, which means our potentials are expanding. Our courage is expanding. So our actions and our efforts are coming without, too much deliberation or second guessing. It's pretty freaking exciting.
It is, yeah,
It
definitely.
really is. I mean, I can't even imagine what this summer is going to bring in terms of expansion, regardless of what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I see so much beauty in the world. It's becoming more so. There's a deepening happening, I feel, on the planet. And I feel it's coming from Gaia. And there's this sense of this, it's like a nectar, this essence that we're walking in. So we're walking in a very powerful energy which is connected with Mother Earth and her ability to create heaven on earth through her own multidimensionality. I saw a tree a couple of weeks ago in the gardens in Edinburgh, and it really kind of took my breath away because the energy coming from it had pure white blossom, and the blossom was flying around in the air. And it was powerful, really powerful. People were sitting underneath this tree. Probably they might be unaware of the energy that's coming from it, but this essence I'm speaking about was literally moving around, and it was drawing in individuals, saying, "Come and sit with me, come and be with me, and feel my energy." This very sweet, sweet flowers, and it's very soft again. So it's interesting because people are moving in emotion towards these energies that I'm speaking about. And it's part of the movement on the earth. There's no realization of what that might be. There's no thought. It's more about a dance of a rhythm of life, moving around.
Yeah, I like that word, rhythm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really beautiful to watch. So, yeah, and this feeling of paradise as well. This heavenly energy that is just wow. It's really, really powerful.
It's been a hell of a ride.
I know. Yeah, and it continues.
I don't see how, well, like by the end of the year, I don't see how there can't be an absolute, this stuff, it's not going to drag on. People are, like you said, everybody's awake.
Yeah,
I don't care what it looks like. I mean, there are so many things we can't see within ourselves, and we've learned this, through all these years. Even when we've done work and we've elevated and we're pulling in sacred code and we're channeling or whatever the case is, then you get hit with something from your childhood or some other thing happens. But I think that's another thing is the evolution of the relationship we have with triggers and how they become less personal and more of an energetic experience, recognizing the gift that they are. And that's life altering in itself when we no longer have prejudices and biases, judgments leaving, more compassion. It's a natural phenomenon. And what I mean by that is it's something that's making itself known. You could call it the mother's energy coming back full force. You could call it a lot of things, but I would find it absolutely impossible that there's any soul on the planet, or really any energy on the planet, that's not feeling that. Even things that we think of are inanimate objects. These are still made of the same thing, right? I mean, it's all the same particles. And there's been a phenomenal shift over these last few years. And you can talk about the Mayan calendar, you can talk about a lot of different things, whatever. But what has it really been? It's been the mother's energy coming back. And as a result of that, everything that she has produced, including her sons and her daughters and her partner, and you know what I mean? Everything is also following suit and seeing itself for what it is and the role that it carries, to your point about the uniqueness of each one of us.
Yeah, we're really, I feel, stepping forward when the realization that we're non-physical.
Yeah.
We have to realize that within ourselves. And when that happens, we don't have any attachment to anyone. There is no mother.
True.
There's no father. Everything is timeless. So we're birthed through this channel or this light vehicle that allows us to be accepting of everyone as a brother and sister, and that we've all come from the same source. Our mother and father are not separate. They're source energy. And that's what I experienced. And I've had this my whole life. There's this feeling of a very strong soul connection with my physical parents, but I didn't recognize them as being in any particular role. And it's something that has been shown to me, is that everything in terms of love is already inside us. We don't need a mother and father to love us. We love from a very natural place inside. And so they are our soul brothers and sisters, rather than being father and mother. They're one with everything that we experience. So as we live through this time that we're living in, we're able to recognize that we came from a very pure place of light to allow us to be who we truly are. And we're many different things. That's the exciting part about it. You know, we're part of the tribe, we're shamans, whatever label you want to put on it. We're already that inside us.
True
And
that.
so, yeah. So it doesn't really relate to the picture of mother, father. And I feel that the new children that are coming in are coming from this pure source energy, and that their parents or their mother will know that she doesn't have any responsibility for her child. She can give it up to source and allow her child to be free and recognize that there's no pressure. There's only pure love that comes.
Yeah. Yeah. Morgan pulled that in last night or the day before. It was imagine, because it was being shown to her in a metaphor, right? Imagine having a child and allowing that instead of telling the child what to do, this, what to wear, what to, and all that, allowing the child to innately and instinctively and whatever, accidentally, whatever, find their own way.
Yeah, be
And
guided.
so she was basically channeling the same thing that you're really, it is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say if these, what you're calling star children,
Yeah.
if they're coming in at the frequency that obviously they are, and I would say, you know, direct from source is a good way to kind of look at it, because it's that much purity, at least compared to us, that if their mothers are seeing them, then it won't be long before the sisters of those mothers will see them, the sisterhood will see them, the brotherhood will see them. You know what I mean? It's like the whole, that's what I mean. It kind of is, it's both true. Like we've got to protect the children, etc. But at the same time, they're bringing something to this realm that is of such magnitude that is an instantaneous effect. If you think about the power that you talked about earlier of like of a child, what it, you know, what it does and all, but also the power of the mother. So when the mother is 100% aligned with the higher universal truth or energy or whatever you want to call it, it's over. It's already over. So let me ask you one last question. Since you were basically born like this, you told us the story last time you were on, which is fascinating. And if anybody hadn't seen it, you could just search on Facebook or YouTube with her name and Soul Speaks 5D, it'll come up. But after all these years, is there a part of you that's saying, finally?
No, because it's always been there.
No, I mean, as far as like the point that the earth and humanity is at now, do you feel like finally, are you just not really attached to it because you really see things beyond, you know, the let's say the finite aspect of this earth incarnations?
I feel what I'm seeing and sensing is that what is happening now has always been there.
Right.
It's just that we haven't, as a human form, being physical, we haven't allowed ourselves to fully embrace the wholeness of not just of life, but of Mother Earth.
Mm.
Her ability, and she is inside us. She is who we are at the level of being able to recognize that we've always been this. We're never separate. And when people talk about going, like, for example, I'm talking about going out for a walk. Now, people talk about going to places, but we don't actually need to go anywhere. And when you were talking about the airplanes, I feel that that's connected with that. This recognition that you don't need to go anywhere, it's already inside you. So what's happening, what we call now on the planet, it's always been there. It's our existence. And deep gratitude for all that we experience that comes from a very of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the more we remember, the more we appreciate what we've done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the gold. Yeah. Yeah. What a
Yeah,
story. What a story, man.
Yeah, we're very rich.
Oh yeah.
Very
Well,
rich.
it was good catching up with you, Soul, and
Thank you.
maybe catch up with you again later this year. I will give you I'll give you a full-length editable MP4, a replay of the show. I'll send it to your email, and
Thank you.
and then you can do whatever you want with it. All of our guests get one. They can put it on social media. They can do whatever they want with it.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for coming on for the 34th episode of Soul Speaks 5D on the new Soulogy Network. Our dear sister Soul, and thank you so much, Soul. Again, all blessings to you and yours, and I'll see you again later in the year.
Yeah, nice to talk,
Thank
Todd.
you.
Thank you.